What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Yesterday, we took a look at 10 haunted places in Oregon. That was part 1, 10 through 6. Today, we're going to be continuing on to part 2, which would be 5 through 1. I'm doing the videos in parts so that they don't end up being too long. Without further ado, let's jump into it. This is 10 haunted places in Oregon, 5 through 1. Number 5, Lafayette Cemetery, Lafayette, Oregon. Cemeteries are typically pretty, park-like places where you can take peaceful, quiet stroll through the trees. You might visit a grave of a loved one in remembrance and reflect on the beauty of nature and the passage of time as you spend an afternoon wandering through the headstones. Or perhaps you might see the ghost of someone who has died but hasn't crossed over to the other side. If you believe in ghosts, you might be familiar with the stories of the Lafayette Pioneer Cemetery, which is supposedly haunted by 2 women who once lived in this town. Anna Marple's son Richard was hung on November 11th, 1887. For the murder and subsequent dismemberment of David I. Corker, a local businessman. Many believed that Anna was his accomplice, but she was never charged. Cemeteries seem to be the most likely place to spot a ghost, and the Lafayette Pioneer Cemetery is no exception. Visitors to this place report all kinds of strange things, but the most common stories are centered around 2 women from the area, Anna Marple and Lena Elsey. On the day that Richard was hung, Anna was present. Many believed that she was a witch, and as her son was about to die, she screamed out a curse upon the town that it would burn 3 times. Since then, the town has burned twice. The other woman who supposedly haunts Lafayette Pioneer Cemetery is Lena Elsey. She is also said to haunt the Argyle Winery. In 1908, Lena committed suicide in her home by drinking carbolic acid. That home just happens to be the site of the Argyle Winery, and employees say that they see and witness her presence often. They smell flowers or perfume and hear footsteps when no one is there. The sound of wine glasses hitting the floor and shattering is common, though when investigated, no broken glass can be found anywhere. A psychic was there for a tasting once and saw Lena standing behind a group of people. The woman was unaware of the haunting stories, but wasn't surprised to hear that she'd seen a ghost. Though Anna Marple is buried somewhere else, the body of Lena Elsey was laid to rest here. Visitors claim to catch a glimpse of a woman wandering through the headstones, and others hear laughter or footsteps. Could it be Lena or Anna? Or is it just the overactive imagination of those seeking ghosts? Perhaps you'll have to visit the cemetery and see for yourself. Number 4, Pittock Mansion, Portland, Oregon. Henry Pittock, a London-born newspaper publisher, and his wife Georgina met and married in Portland in 1860. Henry went on to become one of the wealthiest men in Oregon society, investing in a variety of industries, including railroads, banking, ranching, and mining. He was also an avid climber and outdoorsman. He also helped to found the Mazamas Climbing Club and became part of the first expedition to climb Mount Hood. Georgiana was also an active member of society, becoming involved in many cultural organizations and charities, including the Women's Union and the Ladies' Relief Society. She helped to found the Martha Washington Home, a residence for working women. She was also an enthusiastic gardener and was a founding member of the Portland Rose Society and the Portland Rose Festival. In 1909, the Piddicks decided they wanted to build a home in Portland to retire in. They hired the architect Edward T. Folk, I hope I said that right, to design the Piddick Mansion from scratch. The 46-room mansion, yes, the 46-room mansion, was built on a hill overlooking Portland with a French Renaissance exterior. The inside was uniquely designed with oak-paneled cabinets, marble floors, a huge central staircase, modern amenities like elevators and dumbwaiter, and most strikingly, beautiful views of Mount Hood and the Cascade Mountain Range. Foil lines the inside of the entryway ceiling, a nod to Georgiana's frugal early years, when she had to save foil from old tea containers. The Piddick Mansion was completed in 1914 when Georgiana was 68 years old, and Henry was 80. Sadly, the couple did not have many years left together to enjoy the home they had built. Georgiana passed away in 1918, just 4 years after the construction was completed, and Henry died the following year. Members of the Piddick family remained in the home for many years, until their grandson, Peter Gantenbein, who had grown up in the house, attempted to sell it in 1958. Gantenbein was unable to sell it, and the house sat empty for several years. It was severely damaged as a result of the massive Columbus Day storm of 1962, and Gantenbein contemplated having the mansion destroyed. However, the community rallied around the famous site, and Portland residents donated $75,000 to the city to help the city purchase and restore the home. The city of Portland bought the Piddick Mansion officially in 1964, and a nonprofit was formed to take responsibility for the upkeep of the house. They spent over a year repairing and restoring the mansion, and in 1965 it reopened as the Piddick Mansion Museum. It was open daily to the public for touring. Alright, the history lesson is over. Now to get into the paranormal happenings on the property. Visitors to the house have reported seeing windows shutting and latching on their own, the sounds of heavy footsteps, and a portrait of Henry Piddick moving around the house. Tour guides have reported encountering figures when they open the mansion for business in the mornings. Some people say they have smelled the unmistakable scent of roses, which was Georgiana's favorite flower. Apparitions of the couple, as well as the head's groundskeeper, have been seen and felt following visitors as they toured the mansion. All the reports seem to indicate the ghosts are far from malicious. Rather, they get the sense that the ghosts are peaceful and happy, showing guests around their beautifully restored home. The ghosts are friendly and gracious hosts. It seems that, although they were not alive long enough to enjoy the home they had built, the Piddick spirits will remain in their home, welcoming guests and enjoying the beautiful views. Number 3. Heceta Head Lighthouse. The Heceta Head Lighthouse has been in service for over 125 years and is still operational to this day. If you're in a coastal state, there's always going to be lighthouses. And as long as there are lighthouses, there's bound to be one that's haunted. Such is the case with the Heceta Head Lighthouse. It is said that the ghost, who goes by the name of Rue, is not fond of anyone making alterations to the place she called home. She is known for mysteriously setting off fire alarms and moving around various objects. But the spirit, famously known as the Grey Lady, may be frightening to staff of the lighthouse, to the point where some of them refuse to visit some parts of the house due to their encounters with her. But she is mostly harmless to those who visit the place that is now converted into a bed and breakfast. Come for the peace and quiet, stay for the ghostly welcome. Number 2, Highway 101 in Cannon Beach, Oregon. Highway 101 is a coastal highway that stretches from the Canadian border to the Mexico border on the west coast of the United States. But this particular stretch of the highway is notorious for its ghostly sightings. We've all heard stories about long stretches of road being creepy and haunting. Add being on a cliffside and you get Highway 101 just outside of Cannon Beach, Oregon. It is said for the past 50 years, various motorists have told stories about seeing a man covered in bandages. Some have seen him on the side of the road, while others see him in their rearview mirror. And of course, like all spirits, he seems to vanish into thin air after you look back to see if he's in any danger. Some dismiss it as folklore. But if you're driving down this stretch of roadway, do drive safely and be alert. And for the love of everything, don't be so jumpy to cause an accident. That road looks dangerous enough as it is. And number 1, Roseland Theater, Portland, Oregon. Before the Roseland Theater, this building was a nightclub named Starry Nights. The club was owned by Larry Hurwitz. Hurwitz was believed to be running a counterfeit operation from inside the club. It was apparently exposed by one of the employees, a 21-year-old named Tim Morrow. Shortly after that, Morrow disappeared. It didn't take long until the pieces of the puzzle were put together, ending in the fact that Morrow was murdered. Hurwitz and an accomplice were convicted of the murder and sentenced to prison. While Morrow's body may have been found underneath the Willamette River, his spirit is angry and haunting the building. Locals have said that the theater might be one of the most haunted places in Portland, and in our opinion, the state of Oregon. And there you have it, 10 Haunted Places in Oregon, Part 2. Keep in mind, I did not put these in any particular order. I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch this video. And as always, have a good one, take care.